The Messi show is in full effect now with Inter Miami and the MLS starting their season off and already having 2 games under the belt. The second game being against LA Galaxy in Carson, California, where LA Galaxy hosted, this Inter Miami side that brings so many fans to the games, that has such a crazy attendance attached to it. And we saw an absolute peach of a game with a 1-1 draw. But this game had so much. This moment had so much because we're talking about LA Galaxy, a team that we just recently visited and saw a match of last year. Mm-hmm. And we saw a very depleted, very depressing LA Galaxy side that had a very bad season at the end of the day, ending really low on the table. I can't remember specifically what their standing was, but it was really, really low. It didn't make playoffs. And you look for their future. You look to see what they would do to revamp their squad. And they've actually made some really interesting moves. Most notably, getting rid of Chicharito, for example, sending him over to Chivas, Guadalajara, and bringing him some pretty expensive talent by MLS standards. You have $10 million signing Gabriel Peck from Vasco da Gama coming from Brazil to join the team. I think he's like 23 years old. You have the winger Paintsil, the Ghanaian, coming from Genk, playing over in Belgium and having a really good season over there, joining this team too. And just a shifting of their offensive pieces in hopes of generating a more dynamic offense, something that they 100% did not have last season. And so here they are playing their first game of the season, hosting none other than Lionel Messi and his gang and his boys and his posse. And we had a really good game, man. I thought we had a really good game that ultimately, to summarize, I ended up being really impressed with LA Galaxy, man.
They were the better team.
Yeah.
And honestly, they should have won it if it wasn't for the cliche, the Messi magic.
Yeah.
Honestly, because that was why Inter Miami even got the goal. It was Messi late in the game. But LA Galaxy put on a really good 90 minutes. I think they kind of deserved to win the match. A little unfortunate that they didn't, but Ricky Puig.
Yeah.
I've never seen him take more shots on goal than he did in this match. I think he was trying to prove a point, to Messi, since there were no Barca teammates at one point.
Busquets.
But Busquets to Alba. Oh my God.
They're all there, man.
Is like, holy shit, that's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, he showed up though.
Yeah.
Because even though he ultimately didn't get on the scoreboard, got a penalty saved by, on the great Drake Callender, Puig was so active offensively. We've seen him last year. He was phenomenal for LA Galaxy. The rest of the team around him, not so good, but he's usually pulling the strings deep from midfield. But today, against Inter Miami, he was getting active offensively. It was actually crazy to see because he just doesn't get that forward. He's not usually that trigger happy. Really cool to see him. Really cool to see what Messi can do to certain players. And it reminded me of like all those crazy League Cup games where players show up for Messi, whether it's on Inter Miami or the opposition, but also the fans, man. Because, dude, the LA Galaxy Stadium was rocking, bro. Man. I was like, wow, I had forgotten the draw that Messi has. Once I saw it, I was like, oh, yeah, of course.
Wow, man. Wow. It looked unreal. And there was like the cookouts that were happening before the game. Like I was looking at all this content just around the stadium. Oh, the atmosphere looked really cool.
I bet it was.
Really cool, man. And specifically for Ricky Puig, I agree. I do think having better offensive weapons has made him just as more trigger happy, more excited about this offense, because you look at who he had last year, man. He had some really, really depressing pieces around him. And I think what he has now is a lot more aligned with what he's trying to create for this offensive line. But you didn't leave the game a little sour with how the refs handled it, man.
Did you see that though?
That red card.
Yeah. But because it was technically a second yellow, so they couldn't really undo it. Yeah. But have you heard about
the replacement refs?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That's insane, man.
I've always, like, player strikes, I've seen it happen, like in the NBA, for example. I've never seen a referee strike. I've never seen it. So just a quick recap. The professional referees in the USA are on strike because they couldn't reach an agreement with, I guess, whoever's in charge of the USA referee association. And so because they couldn't reach an agreement, they're technically, out of a job, if you will. So they're refusing to work. And so in comes these semi-pro / amateur referees who at the highest level, they're refereeing in 3rd, 4th division USA tier. And these are the referees that were all put out in the first match week for the MLS. It's kind of crazy.
Crazy, man. And you look at just like how they look even. Like this ref that was reffing this game, dude, like he looked like George of the Jungle, man. Like he looked like such a character out there on the field, and he had so much personality to him in comparison to a typical MLS coach. I mean, you could tell he was taking advantage of the moment. But I do think it lended to some really interesting calls, specifically that red card that gave Inter Miami the extra man up, where I saw a phantom call, man. I didn't see any contact made. That's how Busquets really sell it. Red card changes the match, and that's when Inter Miami and Messi took advantage of it, rightfully so. They did amazing in that sense, but I did feel a little sour with how the refereeing of this game happened.
Yeah, it's going to be annoying, and I wonder how long this strike is going to last. I will say, though, that over the course of the entire league, I'd say they did a pretty decent job, honestly. I think there's going to be really bad mistakes, though, if this continues. There's just going to be one or two just really terrible calls that happens on a weekly basis if you don't get the professional refs back into place. But I guess that's just kind of the sacrifice here. Kind of crazy that the players are actually the ones that have to deal with it. Like when the referees go on strike, it's the players that kind of have to deal with it because they're the ones talking to the ref. They're the ones getting the calls called against them or for them. So this is going to be really interesting to see for the MLS for the next couple weeks.
If there's a play that represents what a literal give and go is, it's that Jordi Alba and Lionel Messi connection we saw. Bro, they had like 3 give and goes, bro. It was just crazy, bro. I was fucking happy watching that play because I was like, that's what I'm talking about, man. That's what this pod's about. The give and fucking go, because it's about that chemistry. It's about that connection that both these players have had for so long, man, for over a decade, and how when the pressure is on them, they can just right away snap into it and create a game-winning or game-tying opportunity and level the match right away. It is a crazy chemistry that they're on, the same like wavelength that they share, because Jordi Alba, the way he took that space on the left side, his timing with Messi, I mean, you can tell Messi doesn't really have that with many other people in the world of football, but Jordi Alba just gets it, dude. And it's why we saw so many highlights at the Leagues Cup that were just like that, and even towards the end of like the US Open Cup as well. And I just think we're going to see a lot of that this season, man, with Busquets doing the same thing too, but just that chemistry, man, just showing its full fruition in front of these American fans.
Yeah, and if you saw that first game in Miami against Real Salt Lake, there was so much penetration for Messi, so much combination with Messi and his front line and also Jordi Alba. But that's what really kind of shook me over these last 2 games for Inter Miami. It's, again, another reminder that Inter Miami is nothing without Messi. Kind of crazy. But it also is crazy that if he is on the pitch, though, anything's possible.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that because it's just in no other league and no other team is that really possible. But for Inter Miami, it truly is. Messi is the key to success. It was crazy. In that Real Salt Lake game, Salt Lake just weren't ready. Messi did everything. Every single play, every single chance creation was generated in some form or fashion by Lionel Messi. Ridiculous. It's crazy to see. It's super entertaining, but it goes back to a worry that I do have for Inter Miami is I think that they should watch his minutes.
Yeah.
I think they should, bro.
100%.
Like if he's playing 2 matches a week, I think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like they did here, because he was nowhere near as influential as he was against Real Salt Lake. 2 things, LA Galaxy are actually pretty good this year. I think they're going to have a much better season, as you kind of pointed out. But the second thing is, this was Messi's second game in the same week. And I just think at 36 years of age, you got to watch his minutes, man. And it's going to suck, though, because there's going to be that pressure every time he goes on the road. People are there to see Messi.
Yeah, and he's going to get criticized.
He's going to get criticized.
If he gets subbed out early or if he just misses the game completely, bro.
Right.
Like, and it's not like LeBron, who's had years of tenure in the NBA. Like if you missed him this year, you can just catch him the next, right? Like Messi is here. It's like a one-time only type of experience, man. Like we'll be lucky if we get more than like 2-3 years out of him here in the MLS. So like these games do matter a lot, but if anything, I put this on the MLS, bro, for the way that they schedule these matches. We've talked about it, how the regular season doesn't really matter that much in the grand scheme of things because they oversaturate the season with too many matches for these teams. Lessen the game so that way you can get more rest in between and the games mean more. The only thing they miss out on is money, but outside of that, like the competitive level, the beauty of the match is heightened because the games just mean more. And I think that's where this Messi health conversation comes into play. And sadly, we're the ones that end up taking the heat of it, man. We're the ones that end up spending $300, $400, $500 on a ticket and end up seeing a fucking bench player instead of Messi when we expected to see the GOAT.
I'll be really excited to see when Kramasi's back healthy.
That's also big too.
That's going to be huge,
dude. I'm tired of the Gomez, man. Like, and Ruiz as well is decent. But
for me, Ruiz he's definitely the weakest link in this Miami. The weakest link.
The midfield's missing Kramaschke, though. It's pretty crazy.
It's crazy because he's 18. It truly has been one of the brightest U.S. men's national team teenagers to hit the scene in a long, long time. It is crazy the impact that Kramaschke has had alongside Messi with Inter Miami. Legit, I am going to be counting the days until he comes back.
No, I think that's really big. I think that's really, really big. And we also got to you also got to take into account the fact that Luis Suarez has died, dude. The Luis Suarez that we knew, that we grew up on, that we admired and praised for God knows how long, in footballing terms, has passed away. He has left us. Yeah. His soul and his body is somewhere else. Rightfully so, because he's had such an incredible, beautiful career. Yeah. But the Luis Suarez that we fell in love with, whoever that guy is up top for Inter Miami right now, a complete sham, a complete replica. I don't know who that man is. I've never seen that man. But that man cannot run anymore. He has no legs whatsoever. Dude, and we saw signs of it leading up to it back in his Atletico days.
That's what I'm saying.
Still somehow won a trophy there. Goes to Gremio. Ends up putting up 25 goals and assists. That might say more about the Brazilian league now is what I'm getting really skeptical of.
Yeah.
But here in the MLS, 2 matches in, dude, Luis Suarez, I think, has reached his breaking point.
Yeah, for Suarez, it's like seeing your relative at the age of 79, and they're like, oh, wow, they look really young. They look really good. They have a lot of energy. And then you see them just a year later, and they're in a wheelchair. It's like 1 year can be the difference. Yeah. And I think the year between Gremio and Inter Miami is that difference for Luis Suarez.
Yeah, man.
Unfortunately. But as you said, this has been coming. If Miami thought Luis Suarez was even going to have somewhat of a tank, that's on them. Because this has been foreshadowed for a very long time. Suarez has lost pace every single year since 2016. And it's only going to get exponentially worse. So we can't be surprised here. Yep. If you're an Inter Miami fan, you cannot be surprised. One thing I will say, obviously, he still has the IQ of a really, really high-quality European footballer. That can't be taught. Luis Suarez will bring that to the team. But if you're looking for pace, if you're looking for him to get it on the end of balls as a receiver, it's not going to happen. Yeah. He'll be good back to goal, just doing little layoffs to incoming players. That's about it, though. And maybe if he gets a chance in the box, he'll definitely finish. But any sort of athleticism or pace involved, he's not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, any counterattack. I think I saw Messi throw it to him towards the corner flag at one point, and Suarez looked like he could barely get there, dude. Yeah, he was struggling to make it. And just that whole time, I was just looking at him, looking at how he runs. He has a limp. He has a noticeable limp when he runs, dude. I'm just hoping that he gets over 7 goals this season. I think that would be a major accomplishment.
That'd be huge, especially in the MLS. I think what's frustrating about Campana is that even last year he didn't get that many opportunities. I mean, he obviously made a lot of appearances, but a lot of them were just off the bench. And that's what he was relegated to. I think considering his age, he's young relatively, he's got to be way, way more involved. Considering Luis Suarez's age too, I just think it makes sense to make Campana more of a number 1 and Suarez more as like a really good secondary. I just don't think it's going to happen because of the history. That's what sucks. Yeah. And then, of course, Jose Martinez has left Inter Miami. So, honestly, it's going to be a big point of contention for Inter Miami. I'd say later down the line is their number 9, their top striker. Who's it really going to be? And if it's not Suarez, if it's for some reason not Campana, then there's going to be a big hole there.